Hello, everybody. I'm back with Volume 2 of my 2021 MLB preseason preview and predictions videos. And for this video, I'm going to talk about the Chicago Cubs, much like the Chicago White Sox. Baseball is back in Chicago, and I can't wait to see how the Chicago Cubs do either. Especially all the rumblings that have been going on during the offseason as far as who would be traded from the team, who would be released, who would be signed. Much of the talk surrounding the Chicago Cubs in the offseason was pertaining to that. On another story, though, Theo Epstein, he ended up stepping down as the president of baseball operations, and Jed Hoyer ended up taking his place. Now many of the pundits are expecting Jed Hoyer to throw in the figurative towel. I don't think so. Some of the other major storylines, I'll say, if I could even use that word, as far as players on the roster. Jake Arrieta from the 2016 World Series Chicago Cubs. Another familiar face. He's back, so that's nice. But on the flip side, though, John Lester is gone. John Lester is gone. Yu Darvish is gone. And Kyle Schwarber. John Lester and Kyle Schwarber ended up going to the Washington Nationals, and Yu Darvish signed with one of the California teams. I don't remember who it was, though. I'm drawing a blank now. Who was it again? Was it the San Diego Padres? I think it was the Padres. But anyway, Yu Darvish is with the San Diego Padres, and if I'm wrong on that, correct me. But I'm 99% certain that he's with the Padres. But now the question remains, will Kris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, and Javier Baez be the next ones to go? I don't think so, because the fact of the matter is Javier Baez, Anthony Rizzo, and Kris Bryant are going to be free agents after this year unless some sort of an extension can be negotiated. But I know in 2023, Craig Kimbrell and Wilson Contreras are going to be free agents. So as far as Craig Kimbrell and Wilson Contreras go, you have between now and 2023 to work out a deal. Either work out a deal or release them or trade them. But as far as Javier Baez, Anthony Rizzo, and Kris Bryant, think to yourself this. In all honesty, can you honestly picture them in an MLB uniform for another team? I didn't think so. Excuse me. I don't see Anthony Rizzo, Kris Bryant, not but let me rephrase that. Javier Baez, Anthony Rizzo, Kris Bryant. I don't see those three going anywhere anytime soon, except to the negotiation table, and hopefully they work something out, which I'm predicting they will. But one of the other news stories as far as the Chicago Cubs is that they lost a really dangerous bat in their lineup. Kyle Schwarber, he wasn't tendered a contract, and he ended up going on to the Nationals. John Lester got released also. He ended up going there as well. But Kyle Schwarber was a presence in the Cubs lineup, though. But that being said, though, they properly and adequately, I guess you could say, ended up replacing him with Jock Peterson, who was on the Los Angeles Dodgers last year, which still blows my mind. And Jock Peterson's on the 2020 Los Angeles Dodgers. They win the World Series. One of the many big-name players on the roster. He ends up getting let go, and then when the time comes for him to find another team to play for, he ends up coming to Chicago. I still can't believe that. But nonetheless, though, there was a magnetic quality about Kyle Schwarber at the plate that Brewers fans should be glad for, and by that I mean being out of the National League Central. So, if you're a Brewers fan, you're quite happy that Kyle Schwarber's not in the same division as the Brewers anymore. So, on top of that, though, Another player that the Cubs ended up losing was Albert Almora Jr. With Ian Happ taking over center field in relatively good fashion, though. Albert Almora Jr.'s strong defense and light bat were expendable, though. So, on one hand, I wish he was still here, but on the other hand, if it was time to move on and find someone else, then that's what we do. Enter Jake Marisnick from the Houston Astros. He ended up he's replacing Albert Almora Jr. and I never would have thought I'd see that either. Jake Marisnick in a Cubs uniform. I thought he would still be with the Astros this year. I'll get into that later on. Maybe when I do my Houston Astros prediction video, but we'll see. Victor Caratini, catcher, he ended up going to San Diego as well, joining Yu Darvish. Speaking of the Milwaukee Brewers, Jeremy Jeffress, he's no longer with the Cubs, and Tyler Chatwood is history too. The Chicago Cubs lost quite a bit, and as a result, the team's probably, at least on paper, the team's not looking that great, I'll say. But there's always room for improvement, and the regular season hasn't even started yet. So, I think as far as the infield, though, speaking of other things to talk about as far as the team, the infield for the Cubs continues to be one of the better ones in baseball, in my opinion, at least. You have Javier Baez, Anthony Rizzo, and Chris Bryant, who are still in Cubs uniforms, and for as long as they continue to do a great job on the roster, and also they do their part, and the Cubs continue to pull in wins, they're going to be a relatively tough team to handle, especially at least as far as the defense goes. Chris Bryant, though, the member of the trio that's getting the most buzz about potentially being traded. I don't see that, though. Mainly because all offseason there were rumblings about trade rumors. Could you picture Chris Bryant in another team uniform? And if so, which team would you want to see him play for? The expectations that the expectations of Chris Bryant getting traded, I can't see them. Expectation is that he has a good year this year and that he remains with the Cubs. I'm as optimistic as ever, though. Wanting to see how Chris Bryant performs. He had a bad shoulder, reduced his effectiveness in 2018, and in 2020 he didn't really do so well. But I'm thinking Chris Bryant has a bounce back year this season. Anthony Rizzo, he's as consistent as they come, especially at his position. He doesn't strike out that much. He gets on base and he hits for power. And there aren't many better first basemen in the sport of baseball right now than Anthony Rizzo. And he plays Gold Glove caliber defense. So if that's not enough of a reason to keep him on the team, then I don't know what else is. Anyway, speaking of being healthy and Chris Bryant, that's what the Cubs need this season. They need a healthy season from Chris Bryant, who, excuse me, he's always performed at elite heights when injuries haven't gotten in his way. And with Javier Baez, we need to take his offensive season from 2020 and put that on the back burner. That was then, and this is now, for want of a better choice of words. Because the Chicago Cubs need their core group to lead the charge. Jason Hayward, Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant, Javier Baez. And if you want to throw Jake Arrieta in, you can throw him in the mix too. Again, a familiar face from the 2016 World Series team that the Cubs had. It's nice seeing him back in the lineup. But anyway, with Ian Happ providing consistency in the leadoff spot, if in the event that's what happens, you also need Jock Peterson to provide real power at the bat in the middle of the order. And he hit 36 homers in 2019, but I think he's still going to need to improve on last season's batting average of .190. So how he did in spring training. I don't really remember. All the times I wanted to watch a game and or listen to it, I didn't really catch anything as far as how he did. I'll have to look at the stats. But anyway, I think the bullpen. The bullpen might be a little bit of a problem for the Cubs, though. On the other hand, I mean they still have one of the best relievers of all time in Craig Kimbrell, for which they paid a lot to get. But in a Cubs uniform, he's been anything but an all-time great. I mean, he had a 5.28 ERA in 2020 and a 6.53 ERA in 2019. And those numbers are likely to make anybody nervous, especially myself. But Craig Kimbrell has to return to some sort of semblance of himself for the bullpen in order to be good. But above everything else, the Cubs also need him to find the form that he displayed down the stretch in 2020. I mean, a strong showing by Craig Kimbrell would make the rest of the bullpen puzzle fall into place. But beyond that, I think the Cubs need an additional arm or two, maybe during the trade deadline or in free agency, in order to emerge as trustworthy setup options. And the sooner they can get them, the better. As Javier Baez, Anthony Rizzo, and Chris Bryant continue to march toward the free agency rumors, which again, all three can become eligible, in the next off season. All these rumors, reports, speculation, etc., as far as which direction the team is going to go. I'm sure all three of them have been, they've grown used to being asked, could this be the final? Could this be the final ride together for the core of the 2016 Chicago Cubs World Series team? And even still, that question is, very. It seems to be a very real ordeal. I mean, because the offseason trade that sent Yu Darvish to the San Diego Padres for a package of young prospects made it crystal clear, at least in my opinion, that the Chicago Cubs have one eye on a long-term plan, and that's going to make this season a potentially critical transitional year in the timeline of the franchise. But the team's collective struggles or success, depending on how the team performs, we'll probably find out how the team is overall by the time the All-Star break starts. They're going to undoubtedly impact how Chicago approaches the trade deadline. I mean, their collective success or struggles in the first 3+ months of the season will also tell a tale. Any still unsettled extension talks might be at the forefront as well. But on the other hand, Javier Baez, I predict him to have a bounce back year, much like Chris Bryant, because Javier Baez was a runner-up for the I think it was the National League MVP. He was the runner-up for the trophy, the National League trophy, in his stellar 2018 season. But now, after what he went through last year, with so many great shortstops throughout the National League, it's definitely a bold prediction that he maybe wins the MVP. I mean, I thought he was going to win it last year, but I think it ended up going to Christian Yelich. Excuse me. Javier Baez started for the National League All-Star team at second base in 2018, and then he started for the senior circuit at shortstop in 2019. And in 2019, he led infielders in outs above average in 2019, and he picked up his first career Gold Glove award for short in 2020. But if his offense returns and he pairs it with a stellar performance, not to mention all these animated GIF slides, tags, and bat flips that you see on the internet if you type in Google Images, Javier Baez bat flip or something like that, he might just be able to reach MVP heights. I think he does. I was going to do a prediction for a starting lineup, a projected starting lineup. I don't know what that's going to be. There are so many different people who say, you should have this person lead off, you should have that person, on the cleanup spot, you should have this person in, second in lineup or third or fourth. That's going to be a tough one, but a couple quick predictions. Over or under for the win total for the Chicago Cubs. The last I looked, I saw was 79.5. I'm taking the over, mainly because the last 6 years the Chicago Cubs finished over 500 as far as their record. So taking the over, I'm predicting their record is 86-76. And at the same time, I also predict the same thing as what I did in my, Chicago Cubs video that I did last year. The boldest of the bold, I might be going out on a limb on this one, but I'm going to say it anyway. Chicago Cubs make the postseason. Should they make the postseason, let's hope they last longer than what they did last year, because they ended up going up against the Florida Marlins and they got swept. So, should the Cubs make the postseason, which I hope they do, hopefully you make it past the first round. To me, that would be nice. So anyway, guys, that's about it. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you think the Cubs are going to do this year. Keep an eye out for my Houston Astros and Boston Red Sox videos. They should be coming up momentarily. And if in the event or events that you haven't already done so, please follow me on Instagram, subscribe to my YouTube page, drop a comment, give this video a thumbs up, let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys when I see you and talk to you whenever I talk to you. So, in the meantime, stay safe, be well, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have a good night.